Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Well, this is the carburetor I got for Christmas, and it's hard to believe this pretty little carburetor is going to go on that raggedy truck. What do you think, guys? Waste of time? Does this old truck deserve that carburetor? Will it make it fast? This carburetor is brand new, and I was thinking today how I've had several people time back would buy a new carburetor like this, and they'd be afraid to touch it and say, it's fine, it's brand new. And they wouldn't want to do anything to it, like change the jetting or power valve or squirters to accommodate their combination. Stock engine, you can get away with a lot more, but when you start having performance parts, you can't leave a carburetor stock. I even had a friend of mine, he sent his carburetor out to have it done. The guy said he'd put it on the bench, adjusted everything, and for him to absolutely not to touch that carburetor when he got it back. How's that guy know what vacuum his engine pulls? How's he know if it's automatic or a stick? Because that's another thing. People don't even realize that half the time. You go from an automatic car to a stick, that carburetor is no longer going to work the same. With a stick shift, you can get more aggressive and have it come in quicker. That's what I do. I'm pretty aggressive that way. Some people will think that's not the way to do it because I'm old school. I overcompensate on a lot of stuff like that. I used to overcompensate on the jetting and everything. Too much a lot of times. But you're old school, and we would just read the plug, and if it was a little bit rich and it ran okay, well, a lot of times it got left that way. I'd rather have something too rich than too lean. Most guys try to make it lean as possible. I'd rather stay safe. And I never really saw any power gains as far as leaning something out. That sounds crazy, but it's true. True on my stuff. I know lean makes power, but I've never seen a big difference, fellas, when I've messed with that. I had a carburetor that was a vacuum secondary, and it was junk. It didn't work good. I put a wood screw in it to make the 4-barrel open up manually. And my friend's like, you can't make that work like that. That's not supposed to work like that. It's not pulling the fuel through the metering plate when you do it that way. And I thought, well, he knows a lot about carburetors and stuff. He's very, very smart. So, but I had no choice, so I did it anyway. And then I bought my brand new Quick Fuel 650 and put that on. And I had all the fancy sights for the fuel and all the latest stuff. All high dollar stuff. Guys, that carburetor from a 600 with a wood screw to the 650, I picked up 1/10 of a second. And the car was shutting off at the end because it was running out of fuel with the other carburetor because I had a bad pump on it. I forgot to add that in there, and I corrected that with the quick fuel. When I put that on, I'd actually push the clutch in and go through the traps with the wood screw carb. So chances are, looking back on it and remembering that as I'm doing the segment, I probably gained absolutely nothing. Hard to believe, guys. You would think going from a wood screw carburetor that's actually... Oh, another thing I just remembered, fellas. Bear with me. It would actually fall on its face. Because I had the wood screw in it and I had it coming in too quick and actually go boah, and it would bog when you first hit it. So you would think with the bog out of it, going through the traps all the way through without pushing the clutch in, without running out of fuel, wouldn't you think I'd be worth more than 1/10 of a second? I surely would. But this whole scenario comes down to this, guys. You get a new carburetor, you can't be afraid to do what you have to do to make it work on your vehicle. Just because you're putting a new carburetor on doesn't mean that you're good to go. You got to do a vacuum reading. You got to find out what power valve's in it. And that's actually one of the most crucial things for a street engine. A lot of guys do away, they block the power valve off in high performance engines. But I want to keep us on a level, on an average basis where everybody just puts a carburetor on their car, and from the average Joe perspective here, guys, that's what I'm trying to do. Oh, but anyway, guys, I notice a lot of people are starting to come back to the carburetors, and I see a lot of guys on the No Name Nationals. They're going to be carbureted cars. It's amazing. So I'm hoping this segment here might help somebody realize that you just don't bolt these things on. I'm not saying you can't just bolt them on and be lucky, have it on a standard engine like a 302, 289, especially if you buy a carburetor that's basically the same that came off of that car. Like if you buy a replacement carburetor and it's the same kind of carburetor, that's not a big deal. But when you go to a Holly or a performance carb, it's not going to be the same as the one you're taking off. If it's like a Motorcraft or a Quadrajet, it's not going to have the same characteristics, fellas. So don't be afraid to look things up, see what jetting's in something, take a reading and see how your air and fuel mixtures are. And if it's not right, you always want to check for vacuum leaks, of course, around the intake or your hoses, anything like that. But you just want to make sure things are right, you're getting the right reading and things like that. So just be careful when you buy a new carburetor, because like I said, you just don't want to bolt it on and think you're going to be good to go. I've seen vehicles actually be worse, and then they found out it was exactly what I'm talking about. They had a vacuum leak or something silly like that. So but anyway, guys, it's getting dark out here. I wanted to run this by you. So have a good night, and thank you for checking me out. Take care, guys.